Balneário Camboriú, a city I love and hate. Well, first of all, it's a city full of skyscrapers. Only 60 years ago, it was a tiny little town, and then suddenly it exploded, and now it's the city with the most skyscrapers in the whole of Brazil. And also the super rich have moved here, buying apartments for millions of dollars, driving around in their luxury cars and their yachts and their helicopters. And then the city has lots of natural beauty as well, so it has lots of beaches and lots of nature surrounding it. However, on the other hand, the city gets super busy in summertime, where millions of tourists invade the city, and the traffic in the city becomes an absolute nightmare. And then the city floods when it rains heavily, and also sometimes sewage pours out on some of the beaches, and you're swimming in toilet water. So I'm going to go through all of these things in this video. So now let's have a look at the most prominent feature of the city, and that's the architecture and the buildings. And this is the first thing you see when you drive to the city. As you drive on the motorway, slowly you start seeing these skyscrapers appearing. And this city has the most skyscrapers in Brazil, so it has more than Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and all the other cities in Brazil. So at the moment, the tallest building in the city is this one, and it's called the Yacht House by Pininfarina. And this is 2 towers, and they are 294 meters tall, which is 964 feet. And it's got some famous people living here, so the Brazilian footballer Neymar, he bought a penthouse here with its own heliport. And apparently he paid 60 million reais, which is $11.5 million for his penthouse. But that was a few years ago. And now one of his neighbors, who also has a penthouse, is trying to sell his for double the amount of money, for 125 million reais, which is $24 million. So you can see how expensive these apartments are. And the city has this pier, and if you go out here, you can see all the buildings. So this is the Yacht House, and then the second tallest building is this one here, which is the 1 tower. This is 290 meters tall, so just 4 meters shorter. And apparently these 2 buildings keep fighting about being the tallest building, so they've added these little towers on the top to try and beat the other building and become the tallest. And this also has celebrities living in it. So the footballer Cristiano Ronaldo and his family have bought 2 apartments in this building. But soon these 2 buildings will look tiny, because they're building a new skyscraper called the Senna Tower, and this is going to be so much taller than the current ones. So this is going to be 550 meters tall. So this is going to be the tallest residential skyscraper in the world. And they've just started building it, so they're working on the foundations at the moment. But they have built this glass building here as a showroom and marketing and sales office. So it's just full of estate agents, and then also some memorabilia of Ayrton Senna, the Brazilian Formula 1 driver. But even if I was a multi-millionaire, I wouldn't buy an apartment here. I just think living so high up just sounds super scary. And then you have lots of other skyscrapers and tall buildings. Some are new, some are old. And it's a bit of a weird feeling walking around this city, because some of the roads are pretty small, and then you've got these massive buildings on both sides. So these roads basically never get any direct sunlight. And yeah, sometimes it does feel a bit claustrophobic walking around the city. And so with all of these super expensive buildings, Balneário Camboriú is the most expensive city in Brazil. So the cost per square meter is 15,000 reais. So you can see it's more expensive than Sao Paulo, Rio de Janeiro, and all the other cities in Brazil. And then the second thing which you can't miss are all the beaches. The biggest one is called Praia Central, and this beach is massive. So it is 7 kilometers in length, so it stretches from the north to the south of the city. And it's super wide as well, so in most parts it's 70 meters wide. But it wasn't always like this, it was a lot narrower in the past. And then in 2021 they enlarged the beach by dredging the sand from the bottom of the ocean. You can see it's lots of beach tennis courts, volleyball courts. We've got a few people sunbathing here. There are a few lying on the sand, but most of them are sitting on chairs. But it's not too busy today. So I visited the city at the beginning of February, which is pretty calm. But then next week it's going to be carnival, and then this beach is going to be packed. And beach looks okay. The sand isn't the nicest color, it's a bit grey. And I think that's because most of the sand came from the bottom of the ocean, from the dredging. And the water's a good temperature, although the water isn't this blue turquoise color. The color is a bit brownish. But there are signs saying that the water is clean enough to go swimming in it. There's only one part in the north area of the beach which apparently is too polluted to go swimming in. But apparently this part here is clean, so the brown color doesn't mean that it's polluted or anything. But this beach has had many problems with pollution in the past, especially when it rains heavily and then the sewage treatment plants can't handle all the water, and so sewage goes into the beach. But I know the local government has invested a lot of money in resolving this issue, and this beach is a lot cleaner than it used to be. And another problem this beach has is that all these tall buildings create a lot of shade on the beach early in the afternoon. And you can see on the beach here, it's around 2 in the afternoon, and already the shade from the building is covering a large part of the beach, and the part of the beach with shade will just increase as the sun slowly goes down further. But another very nice thing about this beach is the sidewalk right next to the beach. So you've got all the high-rise buildings and restaurants and stores, and then you've got a road, and then you've got this sidewalk and cycling lane as well. And lots of trees as well, give some good shade. And this is really nice. And so you've got lots of people just sitting here on the benches. And some have also brought their own beach chairs. They've got some men playing bocce or bowls here. And then some other men playing, I think it looks like dominoes, I'm not 100% sure. And then lots of people playing beach tennis, volley and football on the sand near the sidewalk. And then there's lots of kiosks as well. And so some of them, they only sell corn on the cob and churros. You've got other kiosks as well that sell alcoholic drinks and other snacks. And then you've got a cycle lane as well, which is super popular. I think most people use e-scooters or electric scooters instead, and there's lots of different types. And then you can see here, there's lots of scooters as well that you can rent. And so I decided to rent one of these just to show how skillful I am in riding a scooter. Or maybe not. And then there are many other beaches, which are a bit further away, but still part of Balneário Camboriú. And one of the most popular beaches is Praia das Laranjeiras. And here the beach and the water is much nicer. So the color of water is this blue, turquoise, green color. But you do have to drive for a few minutes from the city in order to get to it. Or you can take cable cars from the city to this beach. So you go over this mountain here, and on the other side is Praia das Laranjeiras. But then you have lots of other beaches as well. So you have Praia Brava, you have Praia de Taquaras, Praia do Pinho, Praia do Estaleiro, and Praia do Estaleirinho. And again, with all of these, you're going to have to drive to them. But most of these are very nice beaches as well. And then another really nice thing about this city is the nature. So it has quite a few parks. The most famous one is probably Parque Unipraias. And so you reach this park by taking cable cars. So these are the same cable cars that take you to Praia das Laranjeiras. So you take these cable cars to the top of this hill here, and the park is at the top. And so this is a forested adventure park. So it's got some nice rides. You can do zip lines as well. And you've got really nice views of the whole city and the surrounding beaches. And I paid 80 reais, which is $15 to take these cable cars to this park. And then in the city you've got a park called Parque Ecológico Raimundo Gonçalves Malta. And this is a nice nature reserve, it's free to go into. And here there's lots of nice trails to walk around and see the nature. And then there's lots of other trails as well that you can go on. I think one of the best ones is Trilha Morro do Careca, which is this trail through a forest and up a hill. And here you've got nice views of the city and also Praia Brava. And also it's a great place to see the sunset. And then in terms of the commerce, this city is big. It's got lots of stores and restaurants. And I would say this city has more shops and restaurants than other cities of similar sizes because of the amount of tourists that come here every summer. And so you have lots of beachside restaurants where you can find everything from Brazilian barbecue restaurants, seafood, Asian food restaurants, fast food, and lots of buffet restaurants as well. And we went to one of these restaurants near the beach. It was called Viking. And we ordered some filet mignon, and it was really good. And the price was 300 reais, which is $57 for the three of us. But there are more reasonably priced restaurants as well, especially the buffet restaurants, and then you have some fast food restaurants as well. And another really nice area with lots of restaurants is called Passeio San Miguel, and this gets really busy in the evening because it's got some live entertainment and so on. We went there in the afternoon, and you can see it's pretty deserted. But here you've got lots of nice restaurants. And yeah, I just bought an ice cream from this ice cream shop called Fredo, and they make some really good ice cream. So in terms of stores, you've got lots of choice as well. Balneário Camboriú has a big shopping mall called Balneário Shopping, and that has over 300 stores inside it. And then lots of big supermarkets as well. And then some smaller shopping malls and shopping centers dotted around the city. And then if you want to go to an even bigger city with even more stores, then you've got Florianopolis, which is just an hour and a half drive away. And then in terms of the economy of the city, the two biggest sectors are tourism and real estate. So like I said earlier, 2 million tourists visit the city every year. So the city has lots of tourist attractions. So first of all, you've got the cable cars and Parque Unipraias, which I mentioned earlier. And then another attraction is the Ferris wheel, which is called Roda Gigante. And this gives you really nice views of the beach and the city. And then right next to it, you've got this road called Estrada de Rainha. So it's a winding, steep footpath and cycleway, which again has some really nice viewpoints at the top of the whole city. And then other attractions is the NASA Space Adventure. So here we've got replicas of space rockets and lots of items as well from the Apollo landings. And then you have an aquarium as well, which has sharks and penguins and alligators and lots of fish. And it's pretty good, although it isn't the biggest. And then you have some pirate attractions as well. So you got this, which is called Aventura Pirata. Shows you the inside of a pirate boat. Got lots of actors doing a show for you. And you can also do a trip on the pirate boat as well, which goes to an island. And it also goes to Praia de Laranjeiras as well. And while you're on the boat, you've got some actors dressed up as pirates, which do a show for you. Finally, you've got a statue of Jesus Christ called Cristo Luz, which is 33 meters tall and it's located on a hill. And you can travel up there and have a look at the statue. And also in the evening, it has some light shows as well. In terms of the climate of the city, so it has a subtropical climate. So the summers can be pretty hot, so up to 30 degrees Celsius, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit. And the winters are not very cold. So temperatures can go down to 10 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So you'll never feel very cold in this city. And it does rain a fair bit, but you've got lots of days of sunshine. So that's definitely not a problem either. So if you're someone who doesn't like cold winters, then the climate of this city might be pretty good for you. And in terms of the infrastructure of the city, so overall it's pretty good. So because it's quite an affluent city, the local government has a fair bit of resources. So roads in general are in good shape inside the city, and also the roads and highways leading out of the city. And then there's lots of cycle lanes in the city as well, which I think is really good. However, saying that, the city does suffer from some severe traffic problems in summertime, especially over New Year and Carnival. So you can have traffic jams stretching for miles inside the city and also on the highways and motorways leading into the city during these times. In terms of other infrastructure, so the city has a large hospital. So the public one is called Hospital Municipal Ruf Cardoso, but then you also have a big private hospital called Hospital Unimed Balneário Camboriú. And in terms of schools, you've got lots of public and private schools. I didn't manage to ask anyone about the public schools, but I do know you have some good private schools in the city. And you've even got a couple of private bilingual English schools in the city. And then there are also some universities as well. So you've got Universidade de Vale do Itajaí. And you've also got Universidade do Estado de Santa Catarina. So if you've got kids or teenagers, there's lots of options here for you. But in terms of other infrastructure, so like sewage and electricity, so here things are getting better, but there's still room for improvement. So the city treats about 90% of its sewage, which is quite good compared to many other Brazilian cities. However, in the past, when it has rained heavily, the sewage system has not been able to cope. Sewage has been let out straight into the river, so River Camboriú, which runs out into the ocean right next to the central beach. But the local government has invested a lot in improving that. And you can see that with the Praia Central becoming a lot cleaner over the last couple of years. And another problem is the flooding as well. So when it rains heavily in Balneário Camboriú, some areas flood very quickly and easily. And this happens fairly often as well. So it happened last year and the year before that. And so it becomes difficult to drive in certain areas, and the ground floors of some buildings get a bit flooded. And then finally, in terms of electricity, so you've got pylons with electric cables up in the air, and so the electric cables aren't underground. And that just seems a bit strange when you're talking about all these $1 million apartments being built, but they can't spend a bit of money putting electric cables underground. And in terms of policing and crime, so Balneário Camboriú is considered a relatively safe city, investing a lot in policing and cameras. And as a result, crime is relatively low in the city. So according to this, it's one of the 10 safest cities in Santa Catarina. And if you look at homicide rate, it is 7.8 homicides per 100,000 inhabitants. So that is relatively low. But you've got safer cities in Santa Catarina. So you've got Brusque, where the homicide rate is 1, Jaraguá do Sul, where it's 2, and some other ones. And here you can see that Florianópolis, the capital, has a homicide of 10. And when I was walking around there, I felt very safe. I saw a lot of police cars driving around. So I think in terms of safety, it's nothing to worry about with this city. And then finally, in terms of the cost of living, so there'd be no surprise here that the cost of living is very high. So that's in terms of renting or buying an apartment, going out to restaurants and stores and so on. And that's because it is a very touristy city. So for example, I just went to the beach, just bought coconut water, and I paid 20 reais for that, which is $3.80. And some other beaches close to Balneário Camboriú, I was paying 15 reais, which is $2.80 or even less. I mean, that's just a simple example. And also when we ate lunch there, we paid 300 reais for our lunch. And again, buying a similar meal in some other cities in Santa Catarina, you'll definitely pay less. And in terms of renting and buying apartments, so like I said earlier, this is the most expensive city in Brazil. So the price per square meters is 15,000 reais. So let's just have a look at a couple of apartments. So I've chosen apartments with at least 2 bedrooms in Balneário Camboriú. And you can see here we've got a big range of prices here. So some of these are really big with lots of bedrooms. This is 172 square meters, 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 4 parking spaces, 23,000 reais per month, which is $4,400 per month. But don't forget you have to pay these condo fees as well per month. But then you have smaller apartments here. So this one is 2 bedrooms, 96 square meters, 3 bathrooms, 1 parking space, 9,200 reais per month, which is $1,760 per month. And you have this apartment here, which is a bit smaller in an older, simpler building. So this has 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and that is 4,000 reais per month, which is $760. So you can see you've got a big range here from $700 up to over $5,000 per month. And then if we look at the sale prices as well, so again, apartments with at least 2 bedrooms in Balneário Camboriú. So you got this one here, which is 230 square meters, 4 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. I don't think that's right. 4 parking spaces, and that is 16 million reais. And so that's $3 million. And then you have smaller apartments. So this is 130 square meters, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2.5 million reais, which is $500,000. But this one doesn't have a sea view. And then you have even smaller apartments, 83 square meters, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 990,000 reais, which is $190,000. So you can see you can buy an apartment for $200,000 up to several $1 million. And you have to remember there are a lot of these apartments are just being bought as holiday apartments. So people only live here for a few weeks or 1 or 2 months per year, and that's it. So that's a lot of money for a holiday apartment. Nicer, and I would personally say there are some nicer areas, and I would personally say that there are some better areas in Santa Catarina next to the beach which are cheaper and have even nicer beaches. Okay, so that's Balneário Camboriú. I was not expecting the city to be like this at all. I mean, I'd heard about the skyscrapers, but I did not think it would be at this scale. And also to see so much wealth in terms of sports cars and yachts and super, super expensive apartments. But I was also pleasantly surprised with how well maintained the city was, the nice nature and the beaches as well. So yeah, this is definitely one interesting city, and if you have time, I would definitely recommend coming and visiting this city. So I hope you like this video. Please leave a like, subscribe. If you've got any comments, leave in the commentary section below. So thanks for watching. Until next time.